It's hard to believe I shot this film 10 years ago. I started shooting June 2000, and we shot 1 month, and then we edited about 1 month, and then it had a premiere at the Seoul Net Festival in August 2000. So this is a documentary done very quickly. I never done any project like this fast. So you will see some limitation I had, but every time I screened this film, I always felt like I am inspired by three wonderful actresses, their love for acting, their passion for what they want to do, and that
one of the panels where,
and that's what I love about this project. So I hopefully maybe you feel the same way when you walk out from the screening. This is only 38 minutes, so I'll do the Q&A after the screening. Esther?
hi everyone, I can't believe you guys are here. It's so nice outside. Well, thanks for coming, and you'll see this. I can't believe you gave it away that it was 10 years ago. So this was my first independent film project that I'd ever done as soon as I graduated. So obviously I have a very, very special place in my heart for this project, and we can talk about it afterwards. So thanks.
What kind of actor do we want to become?
I want to do theater, I want to do film, I want to do TV, I want to do it all. You know, I would not mind being a household name, but that's not my #1 goal.
I think if I were to model my career after someone, I think it would be someone like John Malkovich. Have my own theater company,
Put in a call for you to make
my own stuff, but still do great projects on film and do it all.
From my point of view right now, it's like to have the power to choose. I want to be in that position.
What to do to die today at a minute or two to two.
This show is all about, like, the commercial actress. I play like a commercial actress.
Left, 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 I look really great. Right, 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 I'm so insane.
You only have like 5 minutes in your daily life to do like the one thing you really like, and it's easy to forget that you really want to focus on this.
They are taller than any of the Asiatics we have here in America, and they are somewhat kinder and more solid.
I think that's where I shine, and I think we do have an obligation, to shine out what we do best.
Where should we put her? Good place. I'm sorry.
It's like giving birth. Like in those moments, you forget about the pain. You know, you forget about all those other things that you went through to get that. You know, but that's those moments are what we live for.
Koreans don't take to acting so much. They make too much money being green grocers.
So when I first told my parents that I wanted to go to a university that had a drama and theater film department, my mother's reaction was, first of all, A, we're not paying for your education. And my father was more on the persuasive tact. He was just like, no, Esther, really, you should really think about it more deeply, and you're too smart to be just, kind of spending your time and, spending your energy pursuing that career. So I wasn't really able to go to a university that had that department, but once I got to Yale, it was a different story. And so my parents would tell, their friends, oh, my daughter is a graduate student at Yale Drama School. Oh, she studies acting, so and then now they're much more supportive. And I'm sure you guys have similar experiences like me.
It was hard for me too. In the beginning, they were like, they thought it was a phase that I was going to get over. I was studying it in college, and they were like, oh, well, this is the time for her to explore, and she'll get over it.
Right.
And when they started to realize that I was serious about it, they got really worried, and they were like, trying to convince me to go into any other field.
When I told them, they were like, my mom was like laughing. She's like, she goes, "Ukijima," like, how can you be an actress? Like, first of all, she's like, you're not that pretty, Vivian, and I'm like, no, and I'm like, what? You don't have to be pretty to be an actress, like you can, I'm gonna be in theater and like blah blah blah. Yeah, it was like really hard. My dad didn't talk to me for like a year. and when I was in, and they were totally like your parents. They were like, well, we're not going to support you if you
Talent will.
acting school or whatever. So it's all up to you.
We'll take some questions from the audience. Yes.
Is everyone still in the business?
Yes. Well, Esther, she can tell her own story to you directly. And Vivian, I just heard from Esther. She's in a TV program.
I think it's all about Ted, all about someone.
So she's on television, but she also did 2 years ago when I saw Vivian. I was in LA 2 years ago, briefly, and I saw Vivian, and she told me she did a film with comedian. Trying to remember.
Somebody IMDb.
No,
You're connected to.
Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey's last film. She had a supporting role, so she's still in LA. And the funny thing is, we shot this 2000, and then 2001. End of 2001, this film actually was nominated for a media award. And by then, Esther was already there. Vivian was thinking about going to move to LA. And Gina was about to move too, or she was already there. And 3 actresses, year after we shot this film, they're already living in LA, pursuing their goal as a film and video. Because I told them, theater, you can always, some ways, you have more time, for instance, to be an actress, but for film or television, you have to be a certain age, especially in America. You have to look certain ways. So when you are young, I think it's better to pursue film and television first than theater. So I encourage them to consider, even moving to LA, and they somehow did it. And Gina, who pursued her career a couple years there, and then she got married, and now she lives in Germany. Wow. Yeah, and she has a son, and she trying to do like a theater work there. So it's very interesting. Yes?
Why make a film about theater in New York as opposed to film in LA? Why choose?
Why it was in New York?
Yeah, why choose theater in New York as opposed to say like a film? In
I mean,
when I wrote a proposal this was actually a commissioned piece by Film Festival in Korea, Seoul Net Festival, their international internet film festival. And that was their first year, and they had some proposal.
So
they want to fund some film, was short film. So I wrote a proposal. Basically, I said, well, I'm a director, but I know some of my friends an actor, and it seems like some ways they have more obstacle to climb up as Asian American. And so I asked them whether I could do a little documentary about them sometimes, you know some kind of limit is there, but you don't know the whole story. That's why I decided to do it. And I decided to do this little short documentary about actress. And then I picked these 3 actresses, and we have a little budget, so we have to shoot it in New York. We don't have any budget to travel LA or anything, so we kind of limit ourselves in New York. And New York, there's more actually theater work than film and television at the time, and they're young in terms of their career trajectory. So, I think Gina and Vivian already did some commercials in New York by then, but nothing really big or anything yet. So we just focused on what they were really doing in that summer of 2000. So that's what we did. And Esther and I were joking last year, like, if somebody fund us, we can maybe do the sequel or something 10 years later. And we still can do it because, again, Esther and Vivian still pursuing their career, and Gina slightly different, but it'll be interesting to see, what
my dad
and how their 10 years is going to be. It's going to be really great story. Yeah. But somebody has to come up with the proposals. Yes?
What type of work is industrial work that one of the actresses spoke of?
Well, that's like, the corporation, they need a presentation. They sometimes hire actor and actresses do the presentation, or it's like an info commercial. That's called industrial work too. Yeah, so it's a corporate presentation or a kind of info commercial kind of work. It's pretty well paid. I mean, I don't know about nowadays, but 10 years ago it was okay.
I wanted to ask Esther, how was your transition from New York to LA when you decided to go a year from when this was shot? How was that for you?
I look back at that time and I was like, wow, I was really crazy to do this. I didn't really have any base in Los Angeles. All my friends and kind of what I had established was here in New York City. And at the time, I thought I was going out to do a reconnaissance. I was going to check it out and see what LA is all about. And for me, timing-wise, I had moved out right before 9/11, and then actually I was flying that morning. I had come back to New York to still take care of some of my unresolved things here in New York, and I remember I was down in Wall Street and I went to the Bat Theater and I was watching a show. The next morning I had to get up really early to take that morning flight, and I had a very big experience that was shared with all the New Yorkers, of course, and so I ended up staying there longer and then really establishing my base there. So that was kind of the transition for me. And at the time, especially for the arts in New York, it was like hit so bad. Everybody was just like, it's so great that you had just missed it. But I was actually up in flight, and we were grounded for 4 days. JetBlue was not really a well-known aircraft at the time, but they were the first ones that had digital TV. So I was watching things live starting from the second World Trade Center on MSNBC. So it was a extraordinarily